What's going on, guys? Agent Jim Shorts coming at you with another video for Yins today! We've been hearing a lot more news about DCEU movies in recent weeks. It got me back to thinking on some of my issues with those films and what they could do better in the future. While it's not the case 100% of the time, I think these films tended to lack a super compelling villain. As I thought on that, I realized how dumb that really was. DC has amazing antagonists. They could do amazing things on the big screen. And all of that led to this list. 5 DC villains who deserve a shot on the big screen. Also, if you're new to the channel or have been following my content for a bit, it'd be awesome if you guys could take a second to like and subscribe. Every time you like and subscribe, someone Thanos dusted gets their wings. I'm not sure if that's how the saying goes.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Anyway, let's get on to the list. Coming in at number 5 on this list is someone you may know from the Arrowverse, and that's the Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne is a man from the future, and depending on which era of comics you're looking at, his backstory can tend to differ a little bit, but the main idea here is that he's a man from the future who's obsessed with the Flash. Should I be using the word was in that sentence, or should I be using the word is, or should I be using will be? I don't know. How do you talk about someone who's done something in the future, but it hasn't happened yet, so it's past and future tense simultaneously, and I'm talking about it in the present? Dang it, I think we found a paradox. Well, I'm not getting any sleep tonight now that I'm gonna be thinking about that all night long. So let me know in the comments if you know how to sort out this quagmire of time travel. But to move on with Eobard, he was/is/will be obsessed with the Flash and has decided that he's the one destined to replace the Flash. Again, depending on which iteration you're looking at, Eobard gets very angry with the Flash and seeks revenge via time travel. In the more modern versions, he travels back in time and kills the Flash's mother, as we saw in the Arrowverse in the Flashpoint Paradox film. This obviously shows that these two characters have beef, and it's an amazingly compelling story to follow along with. Outside of his deep attachment to the Flash's tragic backstory, he's also a master strategist, and in most cases, he's a genius who can make plots that even give Batman fits. This deep-seatedly evil villain can be so compelling, and I think he could be a head and shoulders above the random bad guys we've seen in the DCEU movies. Steppenwolf? I think this character has been used to perfection in the comic books and on the small screen as well. It seems like such an obvious choice for DC to adapt to the big screen. That being said, DC doesn't seem to like to listen to any of my ideas, so God only knows we'll ever see this wonderful baddie on the big screen. If you want to learn more about the Reverse Flash, I'd suggest watching the Flash TV series or the animated films, the Flashpoint Paradox and Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. On to our next villain. Number 4 actually keeps to a similar theme, as we've seen this character portrayed in the Arrowverse, and this guy is none other than Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage was a caveman who dwelt in the DC universe millions of years ago. During his time as Neanderthal, a meteorite crashed down onto Earth near him. Due to the warmth of the rock that fell from the heavens, Vandal decided to sleep next to it in order to stay warm. As he basked in the radiation flowing off the rock, he began to change. He developed a genius-level intellect and eventually discovered that he was immortal. This led him to building countless civilizations and ruling many kingdoms throughout history. A really cool thing about this character is that in many versions, his story implies that he was a famous ruler throughout history that average people would know. Due to his many years ruling and never dying, he's amassed tons of power and lots of wealth. Not to mention the fact that this dude is impossible to kill if it comes down to blows. As far as live action movies go, I think this would be the perfect villain if the DCEU tries to continue and follow the Avengers' footsteps. The Infinity Saga was so satisfying and compelling because we finally got to face the villain who tied all the films together, Thanos. I think Vandal Savage would make a great Thanos-like villain to tie in the next phase of the DCEU, assuming there is a next phase and they don't get cancelled, but let's be optimistic for today. I think it'd be cool if he could be teased throughout several films and then eventually have a showdown in the next Justice League movie. It could be really cool and it could be really fun to watch on screen. If this guy seems cool to you and you want to learn more about some of Savage's adventures on the small screen, you should check out Legends of Tomorrow and Young Justice. Creeping his way into number 3 on our list is one of the most disturbing villains I can think of, and that is the Dollmaker. Okay, so technically this guy appeared in the Arrowverse and on Gotham, but I'm not even counting those. He is so much more disturbing in the books. It's not even the same character that you see on the screen. In the comics, there were other Dollmakers in the past, but they all paled in comparison to what happened in the New 52 comics, when DC introduces to Barton Mathis. This iteration of the Dollmaker is as sick and twisted as they come. Barton was raised by a cannibal father who was eventually killed by none other than Officer Jim Gordon. After running away from foster care, Barton resurfaced years later as the Dollmaker. Wearing a mask comprised of his dead father's skin amongst other gross things, The name Dollmaker was applied to Barton because he's a serial killer who cuts up his victims and rebuilds them into his, quote, dolls. In many cases, these dolls are zombie-like servants who do his bidding and are so deformed they're barely recognizable as human. This depraved individual is so crazy and so evil, the Joker specifically went to him when he wanted to get his happy face. AKA, the Joker wanted to get his face cut off, so he went to the Dollmaker, and the Dollmaker cut it off. This led to one of the most horrific but awesome versions of the Joker that we've ever been graced with, all courtesy of the Dollmaker. Why I think the Dollmaker would be such a great villain in a film is just the weight of his horrific crimes and the idea that there are other sick and twisted characters in Batman's rogues gallery other than the Joker. The general population might not know him, but this guy's freaking crazy. So in my mind, if they do spawn a sequel with Robert Pattinson's Batman film, I think the Dollmaker would be a great villain for this younger and more inexperienced version of Bruce Wayne. If you want to see this crazy psycho in action, check out a version of the Dollmaker in the animated film Batman vs. Robin. Or better yet, just check out his introduction into the comics in the Faces of Death storyline. At number 2 on our list, we have someone who could give the Man of Steel a lot of problems, and that's the Parasite. The original Parasite, aka Raymond Maxwell Jensen, was a sketchy dude who happened to work at a scientific research plant. Being kinda dumb and a thief, he was convinced that the company was hiding money in storage containers that the company had at the plant. When he opened the container, he found cosmic waste that Superman had collected from space to be studied by the laboratory. This cosmic waste mutated him into a grotesque purple guy who had to suck the life out of people in order to survive, aka he became a living parasite. The Parasite is really interesting because he can gain the powers of anyone he touches, including Superman. Not only does he gain the powers of those he touched, but he also weakens the people he's drawn from and can even kill them if he sucks enough energy. This can make him a really powerful foe for Superman and even other members of the Justice League. Just imagine a fight where he touches Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman, Aquaman, and all that's left to stop him is just plain old Batman. For some reason, some people these days don't seem to love the idea of our power-sucking parasite friend, but I for one have been a long-time fan of this guy and would love to see him on the big screen. You can see the Parasite depicted in some animated movies like All-Star Superman, and if you're looking for some comics to read, you can find one of the craziest crossovers ever that includes him. In 1981, DC and Marvel, yes, Marvel like Stan Lee Marvel, teamed up and did a Superman and Spider-Man team-up where they fought Dr. Doom and, yes, the Parasite. It's freaking wild. I somehow had a copy of this growing up and it's amazing. Sorry for totally nerding out, but anytime I can talk about Superman and Spider-Man teaming up, I'm gonna. But anyway, all that being said, the Parasite is awesome and he's one of my all-time favorites. Why haven't we got him on the big screen yet, guys? Let's go, DC. I am shouting into the YouTube sphere. Listen, make the Parasite in one of your movies. Coming in at number 1 on the list is one of the most unlikely people that could show up on the big screen in all of DC Comics. But I'm a selfish bastard and I don't care. I want this guy on the big screen no matter how unlikely it may seem. And the person that I'm dying to see on the big screen is the Batman who laughs. That's right, guys, I'm that crazy and I want it to happen and I'm gonna believe it and shout it into existence. I've recently been reading through the Dark Knight's Metal storyline, and let me tell you, that stuff is pretty freaking wild. To break it down for those of you who missed this crazy event a few years back, as we all know, the DC universe has a multiverse. If you watch some of the DC cartoons or even the Arrowverse, you're probably familiar with the concept. Basically, there's just other versions of our universe within the multiverse. So there can be various versions of the same person existing at the same time, aka I'm in this world and you're in world 2, but we're the same person, but not really. These different universes are all numbered and have designations starting at Earth 1 and continues to count up to Earth 1 million or whatever it is. This has always been the case and it's not really anything new for comic books, but the Dark Knight's Metal storyline introduced a new concept, the Dark Multiverse. These dark universes are unstable and can destroy themselves randomly, unlike our normal universes. These places were designated with negative symbols, so they'd be Earth -1, Earth -2, and so on. I give all that convoluted exposition to explain where this Batman is from. He's from one of these dark universes, Earth -22 to be specific. After the Joker of that universe learns Batman's identity is Bruce Wayne and goes on a killing spree, Batman has to fight with the Joker and ends up killing him. But when this happens, a dose of Joker toxin escapes the Joker's body and infects Batman. Bruce slowly starts to notice these changes, and as time goes on, he becomes more and more insane. Eventually, he becomes the reincarnation of the Joker, but the catch is, he still has Bruce Wayne's mind and body. He goes on to kill most of his allies and takes over his world. He even changes his son, Damian, into a mini version of the Joker, and he has a pack of children who were exposed to the Joker toxin chained up, and he calls them his rabid robins. He eventually joins a team that Barbados formed to escape from his universe, which is dying, and invade our main universe that's inhabited by the main versions of the characters we know and love. Obviously, this is a crazy, convoluted story that would need to be cut down to make it at all possible to fit this story on the big screen. But I think simple changes like the Batman who laughs just comes from a different dimension that's dying would be enough to change this whole story in a simple fashion to make it succinct while still giving him motivation to come to the main DCEU universe. He's so sick and twisted like the Joker while having the mind and body of Batman. He's simply the most terrifyingly awesome villain ever conceived. Like, think about it. It's evil Batman Joker. That's it. Like, I don't need to make any more arguments. And he's one of the greatest villains I've ever seen, if not the greatest adversary Batman's ever faced. It's especially compelling because it gives credence to why Bruce chooses not to kill. I know his no-kill rule can be really lame and really get annoying over time, but this story with the Batman who laughs is a staunch reminder to our good Bruce Wayne that he is only a short fall from becoming the evil he hates. This laughing psychopath is the utmost proof of that. One small change could make Bruce the epitome of evil, and it oddly validates why Batman is so strict with trying to not kill people and to try to intentionally set himself apart from the people he fights. As of now, there isn't any movies or show that I think feature this character, but if you want to learn more, feel free to check out the Dark Knight's Metal comic series. It's a pretty fun read, and I think it's really enjoyable. And you made it to the end of our list. Thanks for sticking around, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a second to like and subscribe. Also, if I missed anyone you think would be an awesome villain on the big screen, please let me know in the comments. I really want to hear who you guys think should be in the next DCE movies. If you want to learn more about these characters and support the channel, I actually left Amazon links to all the movies and books that I suggested throughout the video, so you guys can take a deeper dive into these characters and kind of do your own research on, am I right that these guys would make awesome DC movie villains? Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay frosty.